In this week's video, I'll be sharing how I make mixed media florals, and these right here are some of the composition practice I've been doing. Today I'll be starting on a fresh sheet of paper, and this is the first layer, what I'm working on, and I'm using rhodonite genuine to start making some 5-petal flowers. The palette that I'm using is a limited palette. I have buff titanium, yellow medium, rhodonite genuine, amazonite genuine, and ultramarine. I've been working on developing a limited palette for my florals and botanicals and landscapes that I'll be working on this year. If you didn't know, I started a year-long painting challenge. It's for me to explore and develop as an artist with different media, but I chose only 3 subjects for this challenge. Obviously, I chose florals because it's one of my favorite things to work on, and I'll be also exploring landscapes and botanicals, like mostly leaf shapes and leaf designs. I wrote a short blog post about it. I'll probably put it in the description below if you want to look at it and read a little bit more about what I'm working on. I'll be documenting in video and audio and writing my progress through this challenge. Okay, here I'm making or mixing a couple of different violet colors. I really think it's always so interesting when I use a color that looks like it's green and I mix it with a color that looks like it's red, and I come out with a really pretty violet. The rhodonite genuine and amazonite genuine make a really pretty violet color, and then the rhodonite genuine and the ultramarine, when I mix them together, make this really beautiful deep violet color. So far during my challenge, when I started making these florals, at first I was thinking, oh no, these do not have a real composition, but it's actually not true. I started studying different types of compositions, and I just love this way of painting so much. And I discovered actually it could be considered a meandering or a constellation type of composition. And once I realized that, it gave me a little bit more confidence to explore it more and to create more artwork in this way. At this point, I was thinking that I wanted to add more of the pink colored flowers, maybe just a smaller size. and I had been looking at my sketchbook as a reference, but it just didn't seem like it filled up the paper the way I wanted it to. And when you see me, or if you notice me moving my hand across the page, I'm thinking about where I want to place the next flower or the next set of leaves or whatever. I like to place them almost in, I would say, an S pattern. I don't know if you can tell, but that's what I'm doing when I'm moving my hand across the page. Thinking about, okay, I want the yellow to move this way through the paper or the page, or I want the pink to move this other way. They're kind of each one on their own, I want to say, path, and then they all work together within the composition and color scheme. When I make these free-floating flower paintings, I like to go in the last layers and add marks with colored pencil or pastels. Adding these marks with pastel and colored pencil just gives me a more personal touch, even more than just using my brush or my palette knife or whatever else I'm using to apply the paint to the paper. I really enjoy this part of the process. The marks I'm making are not planned. Typically, they're just an intuitive process that I go through each time, and there are marks that I repeat, or maybe they're like my signature marks, but overall the process is very in the moment, and each painting has its own personal characteristic, and I really love that about making artwork this way. I'm working with the very thin colored pencil right now, and I'm adding branch or leaf shapes to each side of the page. As I was recording this, I decided to try to make some close-up clips so that you could see how fine the marks are. They're not made to kind of take over the painting, they're made to complement the painting. And here I'm just going in with some silver and making little stars. Like, there are just certain shapes and symbols that I like to use in my paintings just to give them a little extra personality or just a little something special. Now I'm using the pink colored pencil to add some hearts. Each of the symbols, typically I use one color per detail or per symbol that I'm adding in the background. Like I said before, each of the marks that I use for the paintings vary, and I just go with what I feel as I'm working. And I love adding gold, little bits of gold, and here I'm using my gold color pencil. The very thin colored pencils are some of my favorites for adding these fine details. And that's how I finished this painting. I hope you liked seeing that process. I'll be sharing more about my challenge, the artwork I'm making, and some finished artworks with you. Thank you so much for joining me today. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.